Let's put another one. Alright, after I sneeze. Excuse me. Allergies have been acting up very badly. So, I don't know how this is gonna work very well or not. I've been sneezing since I woke up. Alright, so welcome to everybody. We're gonna start now for our community hangout. Welcome Freeman's Mind. Welcome Jamaluddin Salam from Indonesia. Hello. It must be tomorrow there, Sunday. And thank you, Freeman's Mind, for the bless you. So we have had a bit of a pause through the summer. I think our last hangout was in May or something like that. As you can imagine, it's summer. A lot of things are going on in personal lives, and so usually we just slow down during this period. But we wanted to have a brief update for our community, just to see that we're here. We haven't forgotten about what we need to do and what we're doing. So This hangout is just to give the community a brief update of what is going on, what help we need, and where we're going. Alright, so as always, we have the introduction, and this is our agenda. We have the introduction, welcome everybody, which we did. Again, a huge thank you to all the community and the contributors, people that engage us in all our social media, and in particular in Discord as well as GitHub. We're going to talk a little bit about Zephyr and PHP 8, PHP 8.1. We're going to talk about the V5. We're also going to talk about our builds, the work that we have done with regards to GitHub Action, Travis, Docker, and all that stuff. And we're going to talk about the help that we need from the community, whoever is available to help. And of course, then we'll have questions and answers. As always, if in the meantime you guys have any questions and answers, post them in the chat, and I'll try and answer them either directly at that point or a little bit later. The slide that we always have here, it is a huge thank you to our community. You guys are amazing. You're the ones that are making this project be what it is and make it better every single time. And some of the links that you are aware of, most likely, if you want to follow us on any of these, that would be great. Now, the only link that is not really there is the forum. The second one from the left side. We decided that maintaining the forum is a bit of a task, so what we did is we archived the forum, and the forum is just a static site so people can find any information they want, and we moved everything to GitHub Discussions, which makes everything centralized, and it reduces any maintenance tasks that we have to do with regards to the application. As far as the forum application, I think I mentioned this before, but let me repeat myself here for a little bit. As far as the forum application is concerned, the goal is not to scrap that completely, but to revamp it for V5 and have it as an application that somebody can actually take and install in their own hardware and use it if they need to. Right, but so that's a to do. All right, so again, huge thanks to people that have translated content from our documentation into different languages. We do have some statistics, and we did make a lot of cleanup. There will also be some changes upcoming in terms of the platform. So right now we're using CrowdIn as the main source of allowing people to go and translate documentation. We are gonna keep on using crowding, of course. They have introduced a brand new platform for organizations mostly, and that will make our lives a little bit easier. It's not gonna have an effect on the people that translate or the translations. So a little bit more to come on this further in. We did remove a couple of languages that were not being worked actively, and we are going to do the same thing a little bit later with much more. We're going to try and reduce the load that exists on our website, as well as Algolia, the search engine. So I'll give you an example. There's a couple of translations that are 1% or less or 3% or less translated. What we're gonna do is we're gonna leave the translations there so that people can work on them, but we're not going to include them on our website. So we're gonna pick up an arbitrary number or something, let's say 5-10% or something like that, and then once that has been reached, then we can start posting the documents back on our website. It is very frustrating if you're trying, let's say, to see something in Korean, and then all of a sudden you're starting to see English. There are languages, for instance, the Spanish one, that it's 94% completed, and kudos to the guys that or girls that did this. French, for instance, from what I'm looking at here, is around 18% completed. Italian, Japanese in the 15-17%. But yeah, nobody can reach the Spanish. Those guys are killing it. So the Greek, for instance, for me, it's 3%. So I didn't have time to actually go and do anything. So I don't know. Well, maybe we'll remove Greek too. So it's one of these things. We have to keep reducing the workload that we have so that we have more time to work on the framework. Now, of course, when we do make those changes, going to the new platform that Crowdin has for us, we're gonna make a blog post and we're gonna explain what we're doing, and that would be, our communication with the community. Also, welcome to MTN. Thank you for joining us. But still, we really thank everybody that has put the time to translate documentation to their own language and make the Phalcon more accessible to people that are not native English speakers. Alright, so let's go to next slide. Okay, so small update on Zephyr. There has been a lot of work that went into Zephyr the last few months / year. If you recall, Sergey left and we were kind of like stuck. So Jefferson actually picked up the pace and started learning C himself. He has corrected a lot of issues that have been lingering for years. With the help of Alexander Mack, a lot of work and a lot of testing. The problem with Zephyr is that there's no tools available. For instance, you cannot use PHP Storm with, let's say, Psalm on it, or PHP Code Sniffer to allow you to identify little things that they're not there, or to refactor certain things. So everything has to happen in kind of like a reverse. So if something is being addressed, if something is, let's say, we have this typo in Phalcon, then it goes backwards and you look at it in Zephyr, and then with Zephyr you look at the generated C code, then you're trying to fix it in the generated C code, and once you fix it there, then you go back to Zephyr and see what changes you need to make to Zephyr in order to be able to bring that change into the generated C code as it goes along. So it's a kind of like a little backwards process. Because Zephyr is pretty much a translator, if you like. So it takes its own syntax, and it generates C code for that. Now, that is very time consuming, right? So these two guys have been, especially Jackerson, has been spending a lot of time fixing different bugs. Also, since our last Hangout, there's been a couple of versions released. The changelog is up there in the Zephyr Lang repository, and you can have a look. Even if you see just one line, please note that there's a lot of hours of work behind it. There is one more version coming up in the 0.14 series that will allow us to use require once in Zephyr. There's quite a lot of changes that need to be done before we do that. So in order for Zephyr to understand require once that PHP has, excuse me, we have to update the Zephyr parser. Excuse me. We have to update the Zephyr parser, which parses the Zephyr code and generates tokens so that Zephyr can understand and then generate C code from that. So it's not a simple thing as, alright, now I understand the require once. So for this little change that we wanted to fix a potential bug, we're not still convinced that it is a bug, but you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. Zephyr has to be released, but a new Zephyr has to be released, and with that new Zephyr we have to compile Phalcon. But before the new Zephyr has to be released, the parser has to be changed, and then the parser, once that changes, a new release of the parser comes up, then it goes to Zephyr, new release of Zephyr, and then it goes to Phalcon. So it's kind of like a long process just to get everything done. Also, Jackerson started investigating what the changes required for PHP 8 support. There have been a couple of communications with some members of the PHP team, and there have been some issues, some incompatibilities, but excuse me, but those are not going to be touched until 8.1 comes into RC, a release candidate, somewhere around October, I believe. So we are anticipating that, and we're getting ready for that. Excuse me, but my allergies have been killing me this morning, so I really apologize for this. So coming back to V5, as I mentioned earlier, that there hasn't been a lot of work done because it was holidays and all that stuff, personal life. Of course, it's also summer. So if you compare the last release, the last Hangout until this Hangout, it doesn't seem that we've done much, and it's true. We did, however, release 5.3 Alpha 3, which had a few bugs and mostly interface alignments. So what the interface had versus what the class had in the method declaration were not completely aligned. So what we did is we managed to align all of those. Excuse me again. And as I said before, in PHP it's very easy. You have all these tools that will tell you, hey, your interface, even PHP itself, your interface is not the same from here to there. But in Zephyr you don't have that. So we're fixing those things. Also, as far as a few statistics, as far as issues are concerned, we have 22 active issues throughout all of our repositories. That includes Phalcon, Phalcon, Zephyr, Phalcon, migrations, DevTools, anything else. We have 6 that we're working on them, and then we've implemented 17 during the last Hangout. The remaining issues are mostly ORM related and some refactoring, and I'll explain what that is a little bit later. But pretty much we're gonna be moving some stuff around in order to prepare for V6, because the key is to ensure that there is very little changes when we go from V5 to V6. It's gonna be just a command. So let me quickly show you something here. Alright, in the code, as you see here, we have quite a few classes here at the top, these ones. So cache collection, config, container, crypt, di, and all that stuff. All these are gonna move into folders. So I'll give you an example. The loader, no, let's say the logger. The logger will pretty much be moved here, like this. Oops, let me just install this plugin real quick. Forgot to do that. Alright, so now it highlights. So pretty much the Phalcon logger will become Phalcon logger. Now I understand this is gonna be this is how it's gonna be. This is gonna be a little bit confusing because you have the word twice, but it is gonna help us isolate all these packages and identify which ones we can and we need to build as supplemental extensions in order to increase performance later on with PHP, with the PHP version. So in version 6 we are going to have the full PHP version, but as we mentioned before, we are going to move to introduce a lot of benchmarks in our code, and as such we're going to figure out which one is the slow component, and that slow component we can then introduce it as an extension. And so if you just have the code as is, let's say you use Composer and you bring it into your environment and you run, that's fine. If you want this extra boost, you can then install the Phalcon extension based on what we have here in order to boost some performance. So in order to do that, we just want to make sure that each and every one of those folders is there and there's nothing at the top here at the parent namespace, right? So stuff like that we need to do. It's quite a bit of refactoring, but it's better to do it now that we're going to have a shift from Phalcon 4 to Phalcon 5, a major version, and then from Phalcon 5 to 6, which will be the C version and the PHP version. Those should be identical. So once V6 gets released, all you will have to do is just run a Composer install command, and that would be pretty much it. You wouldn't even have to change anything in your application. Unfortunately, we have to take these steps right now in order to make our lives easier and allow people to upgrade much easier from as time goes by. And that's what I meant by moving classes. Also, we had releases for the migrations. As I mentioned, the Zephyr parser, we had CLI options parser, Codeception Phalcon module, and the DevTools works now with version 5 and PHP 8. And here comes the big discussion, things that have been pretty much killing us in terms of time. So the builds, the GitHub Actions and Docker, we had to take a step back and pause because we had some serious problems with our builds. The whole build system has been going through changes after changes after changes. Sergey did brilliant work on setting up the builds as they are, so that and the build is not only running our tests, it's also creating DLLs, it's also pushing packages into RPMs and debs for Linux to Package Cloud and so on and so forth. So Jeggerson is really a hero because he actually took a step back and started working on GitHub Actions. He moved a lot of the workflow into that, and it has been really tough without this work. now things are becoming a lot easier for us because a lot of the tasks are being automated, and we don't have to worry about doing certain things that we're doing in the past. So whenever we release, the bullet points or the checklist that we had is actually shrinking because automation actually brings whatever we need to bring into the table. So for starters, with Alpha 3, we fixed the Phalcon version to align with Pickle. Pickle doesn't really like dashes and all that stuff in their version. So it was 5.0.0 Alpha 3, just one word, so to speak. So no space, no nothing. And also, if you look here, the old workflow, first of all, we have Travis to run our tests, and it was running our tests in different environments. And then at some point, those environments were becoming obsolete, so you had to upgrade the environment. They were Ubuntu based, some of them, and in the new environment from Trusty or Jesse to Bionic or whatever those versions are, things were not actually the same, so the builds would break and we have to spend more time to fix them. Then we had AppVeyor to do the Windows builds and the DLLs, and if you guys recall from previous Hangouts, it would take around 2.5 minutes to build one DLL. And those would run on only one slot, so we had to wait for one whole build to finish until we go to the second one, and that made our release go to roughly 3 hours every time. And then we also had Travis to create the RPMs and the debs and publish them in Package Cloud for people to use. Well, Travis moved from their org to their .com domain, and what they also did is they did offer us a good amount of credits for open source projects. The problem is you never get to those credits on a normal operation, but if you're trying to fix something and you're trying to understand what is going on and what typos you made and all that stuff, every single time you run that, you use credits. So Jackerson tried to fix all these things that we had, misalignments, new builds, new operating systems and all that stuff, and lo and behold, the credits expired, and we had at least half a month left until the new credits come in so that it would allow us to do that. And we really didn't want to pay for all of this. I mean, yeah, you can say, well, you're greedy. I'd rather use the resources that we have on the framework to pay for developers to enhance the framework, not necessarily sort out the build. So Jickerson's put a lot of time to setting up the GitHub Actions and the builds there, pretty much perfect. And also, this was the main reason that it actually pushed us to do this. As far as the Windows builds and that slowness that I was mentioning about AppVeyor, we removed AppVeyor. I think it was the last version or the version before. We moved all the building of DLLs into GitHub Actions, and I think it was Alexander or Jackerson that they created an action, so whenever we have a release and the GitHub Actions run and the DLLs are being created, after that release is published and everything runs, then the artifacts, meaning the DLLs that are being created by that particular action, are automatically attached to the release page. So we don't even have to do that. We used to go to AppVeyor and download each DLL in turn and then attach them to the release, so now we don't have to do that. And this is why I'm saying automation actually saves us a lot of time. Yes, we spent a lot of time getting there, but now we're gonna gain the rewards for not having to do all these tasks. Also, as far as the builds are concerned, Jickerson created Docker images to be built per action. Created actions to remove deprecated all RPMs and debs, to clean up the package cloud, and simplify the workflow to act as an early warning if something fails. So whether this is the test, the builds, and so on and so forth. We do have some issues with Docker, and these are Windows related mostly. Before this Hangout, I was talking to Jefferson, and he's been working on that thing for a good number of hours, just trying to get why Windows DLLs are not being generated or added where they're supposed to be. That guy is a hero, really. So there is still work to be done for a better automation of our processes. Also, in the works and discussion is to update the theme of our documentation to make it a little bit easier to navigate. I don't know what's gonna come from that. We haven't decided yet. We're gonna talk about it. Maybe get some input from the community and so on and so forth. I would also I was going to discuss with Jackerson, perhaps create some sort of a competition to revamp our website with a new theme, a little bit easier to read, and so on and so forth. But you know, these are all discussions for now. So to the final slide before we go to Q&A. We definitely need some help from everybody in the community. Of course, we need testing of the code in V5. So whoever can and is willing to, more than welcome to give us input to create issues and create PRs with fixes. Definitely need help with Docker and GitHub Actions in the workflows. And of course, we're gonna pay for this work. We're more than willing to pay for this work. So ping Jackerson on Discord if you have time to help with the workflows. And from then on, we just say, all right, this is what we need. This is how we're gonna get it, and you know, we get those things done. So yeah, last is Q&A, and thank you. So that is our little hangout. It was just 30 minutes and change. So I'm gonna give you the rest of your Saturday back, or Sunday. So any questions are more than welcome. Just change the page for a sec. I lost it for a minute. There you go. Alright, well, our comment section is usually more live and people are asking questions, but today I guess it's either everybody's up early and hasn't had coffee yet, or there's no questions, so it's perfectly fine. I'm gonna give it another 3-4 minutes, and if everybody's fine, we're just gonna say thank you and give you the rest of your weekend back. Alright, so Freeman says no questions. I'm not mobile. Of course, thank you for coming, Freeman. Freeman's Mind is our friend in YouTube chat. I'm just gonna wait a little bit. Let me just put a little bit of music while we wait, and then if nothing comes up, of course, we're going to slow it down. Alright, so no questions. It's gonna be a wrap right now. Thank you so much to everybody that attended or everybody that's gonna watch this later. And see you all in Discord or our social media. And thank you again.